Welcome back to Monday All Weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We have a full show for you tonight
Mhm.
on this Monday evening.
We're
We're going to be
back.
talking about we're going to be talking about Gladiator 2. There's been some pictures and an announced trailer that's going to drop on
Mhm.
July 9th, but they've given us a little bit of a first look. We're going to be going over that. Pretty interested in Gladiator 2, I think. And we're also going to be looking at some more news around Rings of Power as we inch closer to the release of season 2,
Uh,
and a little bit of hearsay about the action. The battle sequences are going to be a lot
mhm.
cooler. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to be hitting tonight. Hope you stick with us and hope you chat with us
And
in the live chat.
I was promised that we could speak about the bear a little bit since I finished it.
What?
Well, you were not
Okay.
Finished
promised.
the bear. I
I
finished
said you
it.
could talk about the bear if you didn't talk about it in the podcast, but you did. So
Yes,
you've
but I had
used
not
it.
finished it fully. And I'm going to give my really quickly, very brief full season review. And I'm disappointed. I wouldn't say I hate it. I still hold it in a lot higher regard than most shows because it's the bear. It's really good. But
Uh-huh.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
What disappointed you?
So I think there was only I thought about it really hard because I was like, why am I disappointed with this show? It's just kind of boring. This season is boring. All of it was boring. It's not like some of it was boring, then it got good closer to the end. It was all kind of boring in my opinion.
Mm.
The
Mm.
only characters that
If you say
I
cousin, I'm gonna smack you in the face.
cousin was a good
I'm gonna.
cousin.
Okay, this is such a tired narrative of you. It's like Damon in House of the Dragon or
No,
freaking cousin in The Bear. You latch onto one character and you're like ride or die for that character, and you just say like, doesn't matter what happens in the show. It's like I was very interested by this one character. It's like there's a lot more to that going on. I happen to watch. So I watched 4 episodes of The Bear season
yes.
3. Okay, and I gotta say everybody is engaging so far. I don't see what problem. It's not boring. I'm not disappointed. I actually really like the first episode where it's bouncing around time a lot, and there's
So
just
yes.
a constant musical riff to set the tone through the whole thing, and then season episode 2 opens up, and all of a sudden you start being able to place the timeline a little bit better. You start to see what was the intention of the first episode. I
So
like it. It was a creative choice.
they bounce around a lot throughout the whole season. Even to the last episode, they're bouncing around so much to where I feel like we don't get a full episode that is engaging, and that's why I didn't like it. There was bits and pieces of episodes that I really liked. Uh Cousin, definitely. There's the scene where him and Carmi are just like, excuse my language, I'm not gonna say the word, but he's like, F you, F you, F you. That felt like the bear. And it was like them arguing, and it felt like the bear, and it was good. And then there was a lot of um moments with Neil, the bigger guy with all the tattoos, him and his brother
Mhm.
arguing, the maintenance guy. He's kind of like the maintenance guy, the front of house guy.
Oh, I want since you're running out of time on your quick review, I want to ask you like 1 out of 10, what would you rate it?
No, let me say this one thing, and then I'll give you 1 out of 10. Just let me finish with this thing. Um, his character and his brother were very authentic, and they felt good. They had a lot of bear feeling moments, but everybody else kind of just felt boring. Even Jeremy, Bear, he felt boring. It's just like they weren't engaging throughout the season. Watch it yourself and get your input. I would definitely say it's better than anything else that's coming out. So I'm gonna give it a 6. I would give it a 7 normally, but I'm gonna bump it down to 6 because I was bored. There was moments that were good, but there was not full episodes that were good in my opinion. I'm gonna give it a
I
6 out of 10.
I would like to say I
Yep.
do um I think your rating's probably good for it's a good measure of how you felt about the show. I will say
Yeah.
even last season I feel like we differed in opinion because I want to say last season you came off with like, yeah, the first half isn't strong, the last half is strong, and I
Strong,
didn't
yeah.
feel that way at all. But I guess I haven't watched any of it, so I don't know. I will need to go check it out.
If I was gonna just boil it down to one sentence, maybe this isn't one sentence, but a very brief paragraph then. There was too
A
many
very brief
flashbacks
paragraph.
and
You went from
no
one sentence to a
linear
full freaking
story.
paragraph.
There
Mhm.
was not enough linear story of just like one episode showing the bear restaurant that felt just like that with no flashbacks. So
Mhm.
it did not feel like a good show because it wasn't linear at all. It was too back and forth, too all over the place.
Oh, so the way Tenet isn't linear. So I might like it.
No, it's too many flashbacks.
Um,
Tenet's not flashbacks.
Does Jamie Lee Curtis come back?
In one episode, she does.
It's probably
One
gonna be next season then.
It's really gonna be great.
Yeah, I need to watch it and come back with some of my feelings about it.
That portion was actually okay. It was good. That was part of the there was portions that were good,
Mm.
but I don't feel like there was an episode that I felt super strong about.
Okay,
Just
like,
a
no,
portion
I
that
understand that because the episodes last it the bear has done this thing where everybody kinda gets their episode, right? They
yeah.
get their narrative, they get their story, and, if you're not getting an episode that's like, "We're latching on to this character for this episode," then I can feel that I can understand the, distaste.
Let's get into the Gladiator, guys.
Yeah.
If
Sure.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we have the first look. This was released on Vanity Fair. Bunch of photos revealing what characters are, what
Mm.
actors are in it, right?
Mhm.
And some of their names. So the big news, we already kind of knew that what's his name? Paul Mescal, Paul
Mhm.
Mescal, Mescal,
Mescal?
Mescal. We already kind of knew he
Yeah.
was going to be the lead because he's been on slated for IMDb for a while. But we get Pedro Pascal.
Pedro.
All right.
We also get some
It's Mr.
Denzel.
Fantastic right there.
Yeah. Miss that down. That's a Mr.
Hold up.
Fantastic. When I think
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic,
I don't think him.
I
I watched The Quiet Place over the weekend, and I was digging John Krasinski.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he was the perfect casting, and they
Mhm.
just
I
noodled him.
this might be a weird thing to say, but when I see Pedro, all I think of is like a line cook at a restaurant.
A line cook?
Mm.
I could see him as a line cook.
Yeah, that's all I see is him like
Josh
making me a good Reuben sandwich or something.
Mm.
Like,
You think Pedro Pascal looks like a Reuben making
or at least a meatball
fella?
maybe
Meatball.
not a meatball. I don't know.
All right. Okay.
He looks
Maybe he'll
easy
make
to
me a good
draw.
taco.
He looks easy to draw. My gosh. All right. So first off, what your guys' initial thoughts on some of these photos? Okay, I think the ruggedness. These are professional photos. This isn't.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think. Do you think are these screenshots from the
The movie.
cinematics or are
Yeah.
these photography?
Yeah.
Or is this
Yeah,
photography
yeah.
from set?
Yeah, this is gonna be from the movie, I think. I'm digging the photos
Mhm.
because it feels like the old Gladiator movie.
Right.
And I mean, regardless of whether the movie's historically accurate, blah blah blah, the battles, the fights, the actual gladiators, doesn't matter. The movie's fun. It's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This movie has to be good.
Well, it has
has
to be fantastic.
It has to be good because number one, you're coming off of Gladiator, one of the greatest, probably perhaps the greatest dad movie of all time.
Dad
Yeah.
movie.
Perhaps the greatest dad movie.
I
It
wouldn't
grows
consider
in
it a dad movie, but
popularity.
sure.
Right.
As you
Well,
become
I
a dad,
mean,
it
consider-
becomes better.
let's mention some other dad movies: Master and
Pick a-
Commander,
The Patriot.
Patriot,
The Patriot's a dad movie. This
Braveheart,
is not a dad movie.
right? The Gladiator's a dad movie. It's
Yeah.
a movie that dads
It's
love.
your dad's movie. Your
It's
dad
a movie. It's a
liked
movie
this
that
movie, so you
dads
considered
love.
it a dad movie.
And I feel like, given Ridley Scott's history, the last couple of films he's made, it has to be good for that sake
Yeah.
as well, because he has not been hitting it out of the park.
No, he hasn't been. So, do you think going back into this world, into the story of Gladiator,
Mm.
do you think he's going to be able to tap back into what he did before? So, not too long ago, I did a video on the cinematography for the Gladiator, the first movie, for the
Mhm.
opening battle scene.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott is very quick and kind of just down and dirty, and will figure it out in editing a little bit when it
Yeah.
comes to battle scenes, which is why he's like, hey, in Napoleon, we did 6 major battles
Oh, I still haven't seen that
from
movie.
Napoleon, and they did it in like record time. It's
Mhm.
because they kind of just have a bunch of cameras there and just capture like every little cutaway shot, and then
Yeah.
they just edit it together in a creative way. It's like a bunch of mistakes that are just edited together, and you don't really notice the mistakes, and it just looks cool. But ultimately, it's kind of chaos storytelling battle scenes, you know?
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say that like the world of Gladiator is like a super well thought out story, but it is really fun. And
Yeah.
so it's not like you have to tap into something super deep to make this good,
Mhm.
right? I mean, would you agree? It's not like a
I'd
super deep
absolutely
story.
agree. The concept for the first movie is really simple. You know, he's you know,
Family Man.
yeah, his family's murdered. He becomes a gladiator. It's when you really boil it down. I mean, obviously there's politics stuff with the emperor and
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix and all that. Whatever.
I like
It's
that these outfits feel lived in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah. They
I'm
definitely don't.
curious
They
to
don't feel like
see
Disney.
how are they going to get Lucius into being a gladiator. Is it gonna be something to do with just, like, because, um, because Commodus was killed in the last movie that the his sister went down in station, or well, what's I wanna know, how do they get him into the ring? Or is it
Right.
just for, like, exhibition matches and it gets a little bit too heated, or he kills somebody he shouldn't kill? It's it's interesting. It's definitely something I'm looking forward to, but I'm also hesitant about given Ridley Scott's track record up to this point.
My I'm just throwing my 2 cents out there,
Mm,
what it's gonna be. I agree with maybe he's their family's kind of gone down in ranks uh because of the uncle dying, getting killed in the first one. And so we kind of see him in this maybe bar. He accidentally gets into a bar fight with the wrong person, gets thrown into the pits, and then it
mm,
becomes a twofold. It goes the people who scorned his family and put them out of being royalty. He kind of has to get back at by
mhm.
winning the matches and then ultimately fighting somebody important who kind of is at odds with his family because of that.
Yeah.
And it also gives him
Well, you're just
some
laying
kind
out
of
the whole
weight.
story.
Well, this is what I'm guessing. I don't know.
This is
This is
what
my
you're
I mean,
guess.
guessing.
I could see something along those lines. We had that picture that you had up a minute ago of, what's his name? Joseph Quinn.
Yeah.
This dude is in all sorts of stuff now.
Now he
Yeah.
looks like he's made for
Yeah.
this role.
Oh, man, he looks super Roman.
If
That
you
they
guys don't know, if you recognize his face but don't remember him where he's from, season 4, Stranger Things.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's
Long hair.
in A Quiet Place Day 1, he's in
Yes.
Fantastic Four, he's gonna be playing, Johnny.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The dude's all over the place, and he's killing it, he's a great actor.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he deserves it. So let me ask
Mhm.
you guys this. This is actually something that I've really been thinking about. 2024.
Yeah.
Are we still wanting a Gladiator movie? Like, is this gonna even hit? Do you
I
think?
don't I don't want a sequel to the Gladiator movie, but
It's
I
what it's
want
gonna
a
be.
Gladiator movie. I
Well,
want a
this is a
movie.
sequel.
I know, but I want a just a fun. Well, I don't know if you can put Gladiator and fun together. A cool battling gladiator film. That's what I
Yeah.
want. I don't want a
Yeah.
sequel to something.
No, but
I
I'm
don't
asking a serious question. I'm not
No,
necessarily
that's a
asking
serious
what we
answer.
want. No, I'm not what really what we want. I'm talking about like, does the culture of moviegoers want a sequel to Gladiator in 2024, or was it something we were looking for like back in 2016? You know what I mean?
it's definitely possible that it's much more excitement would have been around it if it had come out, 10 years ago,
Yeah. There's
5 years ago even.
there's an odd generation that is gonna watch this movie because we're unique where when we were younger, we watched the movie because Wyatt, like he said, this is a dad movie. His dad liked this movie.
Mhm.
So we watched it when we were teenagers. But most people our age and then younger aren't really into Gladiator that much. So it's going to be our age and older that are
Mhm.
going to be watching it. And so it is I would say, an older generation that's going to be watching it. But are they? They got nothing else to watch. Yeah, they're excited for it.
I mean, so I think this is definitely if we can get the dads out, like, get them out. This is made for
Okay.
them. This is their movie, I'd
Yeah.
say, buy a ticket for a dad. Give your seat up to a dad. I'd say, we
Oh,
make
I
a
know
chain in front of
it's
the movie
late.
theaters, and we don't let people in unless they're a dad.
It's a little late, but for
It's one for
Father's
the
Day, you get him a
dads,
gift of ticket.
right? Or I was
Yeah.
just gonna say an early Christmas present. Get him an early Christmas present for Gladiator 2. And what? Okay, so I think this is all right. So Napoleon didn't hit super hard. If we're
Mhm.
being honest, financially. It
Yeah.
didn't get a lot of buzz. You would think maybe people that were interested in Gladiator would have watched Napoleon, and it wasn't a very big hit. All right, it's Ridley Scott film. It's his last film. Um, so going into this one, it's hoping that it's going to capitalize off of the first movie, but isn't something like political intrigue and well-told characters and fighting pits, isn't this something we're kind of looking more for in stories that are currently popular, like House of the Dragon, and less so
Yeah.
about the continuation of a story that came out back in 2001? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, absolutely. The medium has changed. People are looking for this spectacle in the TV shows. The time of the, big historical movie, I think we've moved past it. We got
We're
a lot
getting
of it.
it. We're getting it. We're getting it with TV shows,
Yeah,
except it's
we got tons of it back in the 2000s and late 90s.
right.
We've mentioned them with, Braveheart, with The
Well,
Patriot.
something
Yeah.
about the TV shows that the movies don't tickle quite. They don't tickle your fancy.
Mm,
Where we were talking about this, I think, on the podcast, where for something like a TV show like House of the Dragon, you have your drama, who's gonna be the king and queen, which brings the females to it, and then the dragons and the world brings the men to it. So
The
it kind of
lore and the battles.
yes, that is
mhm.
kind of like a good mesh to get everybody to watch it, where the
Yeah.
movies don't quite have that.
Well, I
They're
would say the
good,
first
The
Gladiator movie
topless
did have that.
wenches.
Topless
but
wenches.
yeah, they don't have they're not bringing the female side of the audience to
Right.
the movies to
Like I
watch it.
said,
It's gonna be straight
it's
men.
the dad movies.
Yeah.
But the
Dads loved these
did have
movies,
that
man.
political intrigue, right? Like, the first movie did have the political intrigue
It
that
had
could have
it had a
attracted some
little
of it.
bit, but again,
It's too heavy-handed.
we're getting so much more of that in TV shows. We
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
watch entire plots and machinations happen. We see a little bit of political intrigue in
right.
Gladiator, and then mostly fights and some, some dialogue amongst slaves and gladiators and
Mhm.
things. And
If you're if you're watching live, I wanna ask this question and answer if you're a lady or a dude. So when you look at this picture, we'll answer this question. When I look at this picture, I think, yeah, this is like what dads want to be and they wish they were like
Yeah.
super cool and jacked like this guy, and
Mhm.
they want to envision themselves being out there in the pits just slaying other dudes, right?
Mhm.
Like being the best of the best. Do you think this is enough
What are you
to
trying to
attract the
ask here?
ladies? Is what I'm saying is like this is like the vibe for the dads because they want to be
Mhm.
this. Is this also like the vibe for
Attracted
the
to the
ladies because they want to see this? You know what I mean?
I don't know
That's,
This
that
that's
is
the
this
question.
Chris Hemsworth without his shirt on in Thor.
I
I'm
don't
Is
just
know
that what
saying
that
you're
Chris
asking?
Hemsworth.
I don't know
No,
that
I'm
they're
saying,
putting
is
out these
this?
photos for that reason to draw in
No,
the
I
female
don't think so
audience.
You don't
You're
think so?
I don't think they're getting them with this one. I honestly, I
Not
don't
with
think they're getting them with this one.
Not at all.
He's a good-looking dude. He's a good-looking dude.
yeah.
He's well built, and that's great. But I don't think that's enough for the ladies to jump on board with Gladiator by Ridley Scott.
Well, Gladiator too. All right, so Pedro Pascal. Let's just touch on this one more time. His
Mhm.
outfit. Do you think? I know we've been a bit critical of Pedro
Mm,
Pascal
yeah.
recently.
Mhm.
Well,
I
he's
feel
a
like
media shill and Hollywood
yeah,
shill and
he is. He is. Uh,
a decent actor.
do you think this is going to be able to? I don't know. Extend a hand to the people that have disliked a lot of his roles recently. That's going to be like, hey, we could actually come to enjoy this fella because he's going to follow this up probably, I'm assuming, with Fantastic Four,
Yeah,
unless he does
possibly.
Mhm.
another film. And I feel like he's just going to be a
Unless he does
fruitcake and a disappointment to the audience in
season.
that role.
See, they haven't announced season 2 of Last of Us, have they?
I don't know. I don't know.
Unless he comes
haven't heard
back with
anything
with
about
a
it.
second season for that,
That
which blech.
a good performance for him could have people back on board with him, acting wise. I think he's not a bad actor. He
No,
wasn't bad in Last of Us. He was
no.
very good in Last of Us. He
Yeah.
was the best part of Last of Us. Did he match the description of the guy in the game? No. Does he match the description of Mr. Fantastic? No. He did
I,
really great with his performance in Game of Thrones. That's why I think that's kind of why everybody liked him.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he
Does
was
he match
great.
the
He was great in Narcos as well.
Yeah.
does he
Yeah.
match
He's done some solid roles. But I don't know. It's just interesting choice. He's in everything, or at least he seems like he's in a lot these
Mhm.
days. And when I'm thinking like epic
what are you thinking?
Gladiator film, I'm not thinking Pedro Pascal in the same way that
Mhm.
when I'm thinking Fantastic Four, I'm not
Yeah.
thinking Pedro Pascal.
I think he's definitely probably more suited to this than Fantastic Four because he doesn't look like Reed Richards.
It's
This
a
is
far cry.
this is a character
Yeah.
who
Di-
it doesn't matter.
Well,
In the
no,
same way they didn't look like Joel, right?
Yeah.
didn't in the first one they called him not him, but what's his name's character, the Spaniard?
Oh yeah, he could absolutely be somebody who knew of Russell Crowe's character because Russell Crowe's character was supposed to be from Spain.
Yeah, the Spaniard.
Mhm.
That's what they called him in the first one. So he matches that description.
He's
better
definitely
than,
more Spanish than Russell Crowe, to be
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
A lot, I would
But
say.
a lot of these people are not very Italian.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't think that's necessarily you can pass kind of like a fair-skinned, dark featured anybody is as Italian if you
Mhm.
want to.
and I know a lot of the older Greeks and Italians were lighter of skin.
The Romans were very lighter skinned.
As different races have disseminated into Italy over the years, they've gotten darker. That's just time, man. But I think Joseph Quinn looks the most like a Roman, like bust that you would have sitting on a pylon or
Just
something.
real thin.
Yeah, just even with the face, Like if you cut him off at the neck and made him stone and set him on a pylon, he'd
That's
look,
a great way. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's quintessential,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Quintessential
wow.
Roman.
Impressive wordplay.
Yeah.
But definitely
Let's go
tell
to
us what
House
you
of the
guys think
Dragon.
about Gladiator 2. We want to
All
hear your
right.
thoughts and opinions.
So we're not going to House of the Dragon. We are going to the Rings of Power. Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
Wishful thinking, Josh. Wishful thinking.
I said House
You
of the
wanted to talk
Dragon.
about something good.
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
let's jump into this. The Rings of Power battles
Mm.
are on a much grander scale in season 2, exclusive image. So first off, this is the big news this week. for
So there
Rings
he
of
is. There's
Power.
Elrond.
There
Wow.
he is. And we get a picture of him in battle garb, I guess.
Yes, armor, you might
His
call it.
his armor. Yeah. And that helmet is huge. on
Battle
his head.
garb.
That helmet,
His battle garb.
his
His elven suit of fighting abilities.
Yeah, I was gonna do
yes.
that. I can't think of it.
All right.
Uh,
So with that, there's some quotes from the
Yeah.
creators basically saying, we love a good battle. All right, says McKay, promising big
Real
things
shit.
in the spectacle department upon the show's return, set to bring a significantly large clash to our screen. The plan with season 2 would be to do something much bigger on a much grander scale that would take place not just overnight, but over multiple days, weeks, months, and episodes, he teases. Charlotte Brandstrom, who's taken over from J.A. Bayana,
Yeah, Bayana works.
Bayana as producing director for season 2, says this battle will be 10 times bigger than the one witnessed in the first run. It's really the battle of the darkness against the light, she
Wow.
promises, with some very dark and quite violent moments. So,
So if
they're promising us a big, epic Middle-earth battle.
imagine the battle from the first season, right? Which
Yeah.
was a turd. Now imagine a much bigger turd. Okay.
Wasn't it just like horses running? Like
There
I
was
remember seeing
some of that.
horses
There was
running.
some fighting in the little village.
Look, it's the same type of fighting. What you should do is you should go on YouTube and search after this, right? After this video, search Rings of Power fighting analysis. And you
Mhm.
will get a handful of videos of people who are analyzing the fight scenes from the first season. And it's the same thing we get in Acolyte. This modern day Hollywood choreography is so bad because
Yeah.
literally it is one person fighting 5 to 6 people at a time, and everybody is just waiting their turn.
Mhm.
Just waiting their turn until the person they're currently fighting, instead of just jabbing them in the back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And
They're just
then
waiting their turn to attack.
when
And
you're
it's
done
so
when you're done
cringy.
watching those videos, go look up Jeff Goldblum, Jurassic Park, large pile of crap, and that absolutely explains what these battles are. I'm sure you guys can picture that in your head.
Look, and I'm not gonna say, like, when you I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna say that Lord of the Rings, like when Aragorn is fighting a bunch of Uruk-hai by himself. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I'm not gonna say that that's not completely unrealistic on any
Yeah,
level.
or the
either.
Battle of Helm's Deep, like it makes, perfect strategic sense.
Here's-
It doesn't.
Here's what I'm saying though, is you can hide the flaws of your fight with the quick edits and with the close-ups, right?
Yeah.
And to make it less obvious and pull you out of it. The
Well,
problem is,
and with a good movie
and with a good movie
and
and a good
engaging
story and
characters
characters
that
you
people
like,
care
yes.
about.
But what they're doing in the Rings of Power is they're trying to do this modern John Wick wide shot where it's like we want to really show off the choreography. But it's like,
Mhm.
well, your choreography and your placements, I guess your the characters attacking in certain manners and what the camera angles, the wide angles, just showing all the choreography. You're showing off the bad parts. You're showing off the holes in your plan, basically. And you're not. What Peter Jackson did is he's like, we're not going to shoot a bunch of wide shots. We're going to do a ton of close up cuts just constant cuts. And we're
Yeah.
gonna hear ting ting, and we're gonna get like 3 different cuts in 2 little blade clashes. And we're gonna disorient you enough to feel like you're in the battle and it's intense. And that's really
Mhm.
all you need to go for. If you're trying to do this modern day choreography style of wide angles and sweeping shots, and just like say like this actor took 5 months to prepare for this one shot, choreography wise, and then you're like, well, it still looks bad. It
Right.
still looks
That's the
bad.
biggest thing is they do that. They're like, "Oh, we spent so much on this one sequence," and then you watch it after you've watched an hour worth of just drivel of a show, and you can't even appreciate the work that was put into it because it looks bad and you don't care.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's what they did with the Acolyte episode
Mhm.
5,
Yeah,
like,
there were
last.
some cool lightsaber fights in the Acolyte
But
episode 5.
they did the same thing. It's the
Couldn't
wide
appreciate them.
shots, and everyone's just waiting their turn, right?
They
Until the Sith Lord's
Yeah.
ready to
They
fight
were
them.
they were negated. They were negated by, every time Amandla Stenberg opened her mouth. Each time she opened her mouth, the lightsaber scenes got worse.
Right, right, and it's gonna be the
Right, by
same with this.
association.
It's every time Galadriel opens her mouth, the battle scene gets
Battle
worse.
scene.
Pretty much. All right, so I
Yeah.
think that there wasn't a ton of news. That's the biggest thing, but I guess what we needed to discuss is, imagine 10
Mm.
times over the course of not just a night, but days, weeks, months, and even entire episodes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What kind of battle scenes do you expect them to be delivering on here? And what's your expectations? I mean, obviously they're
Well,
pretty
I
low,
mean,
I've got
but
none.
the producer says we have a different kind of action and see Middle Earth in some more terrifying moments.
what's going to be terrifying that we haven't seen before?
I feel like they say this for everything. The actors and producers are trained, media trained to be like, yeah, this is so different from anything we've ever seen before. How many times have we heard every actor say
Mhm.
that? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's so different than anything that's come before it.
Is it going to be more terrifying than disfigured, ugly orcs launching heads into Minas Tirith that they just cut off
That's
from the men and just launching them into the streets where their families could see? Is there anything more terrifying than that? Because we got
Yeah,
that in Peter
it's pretty
Jackson's
bad.
version. What are we going to
that
see
was
in this
good.
that's more
I mean,
terrifying
I'll
than that?
say they in the last show, I will say they had a woman attack an orc and she got like her throat slit. That was pretty wild.
It's pretty violent.
You don't typically see that happening in medieval battles because it's usually like primarily men. And so
Mhm.
that anytime a woman is attacked in those situations, it's rough. It almost hurts to watch.
Right.
Um,
It's kind of like what, you know, Game of Thrones did, or House of the Dragon did with beheading the kid,
yeah,
right?
anytime you see that kind of stuff, it's rough. And
It's horrifying,
the
yes.
the whole thing about it's like we got these huge battle sequences. They're going to be happening over the course of episodes. We've had what are we on 3 episodes of House of the Dragon at this point,
Yes.
and there's been like no battles, the
None
aftermath
yet.
of a battle,
Yeah.
but it's been it's been more intriguing, so much more
Yeah.
intriguing than anything we saw out of Rings of Power, the most expensive show ever made.
With the
Yeah,
Acolyte being a close second.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Oh, man. I
Ew.
think that I heard somebody say that the final count on, um, how many Godzilla minus ones you could have made with the Acolyte budget is like 22. Make like 22 Godzilla minus one movies.
Which -1 was really entertaining and really well
Yeah.
told, and it was a very good, very heavily video effects film,
Mhm.
and mix of video effects and practicals. Where I feel like the practicals and video effects for both of these shows, both Acolyte and The Rings of Power, it just falling flat. I mean,
I think that was one of the Go ahead, Josh. You look like you had something to say.
no.
Well, I feel like that it seemed like last season every turn felt like there was, we would see a visual of Numenor, and we'd be like, okay, I see where the budget's going. And then you'd see the costumes, and you'd be like, where's the budget going? And then you would see a fight scene. You'd be like, where is the budget going?
Right.
And you would see you'd see them, walking around with the dwarves and walking around with the elves. You'd be like, where?
Well, and then
is
you get
the
the internal, you get the internal video effect shot of inside of the dwarf kingdom.
Yeah, and
right?
you're like,
And
okay,
where?
yeah.
I see where the budget's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's exactly right.
But
Because-
and then
too
you
much is what they're doing.
listen to the dialogue and the storytelling and all of that nonsense, and you
Right.
think,
You get bad haircut Elrond, and you're like,
Yeah.
where's the budget going,
where's
man?
the budget going?
Get
Not with a
out.
haircut.
Elrond
Yeah,
is
make
a
it- I've been hearing the mantra on the internet a lot. Make it make sense.
make it make sense.
Make
and
it
what
make
does that
sense. It
what-
just
how-
it
how do you
doesn't-
apply
none
that?
of this stuff makes sense. Where's the money? Where's the writing? Where's the acting? Make it make sense.
So if you're gonna try to make sense of it, what's your explanation for that?
Oh,
Because I think the writing's on the wall, and it's been happening long enough that we have pretty surefire culprits that we kind of know what's
Mhm.
happening. But what do you say? What do you say is the explanation that makes it make
I
sense?
think they're paying. Number one, I think they're paying way too many people, way too
Mhm.
much
Yeah.
money. That's the biggest thing. They're paying
How much do
way
you-
too many people, way too much money.
How much do you think the actor for Gladriel is getting paid for this season compared to last season?
Probably
Let me see
making
if
a
it's
pretty
public.
penny.
Let's
She's
see.
probably making a pretty penny. But even if her take home is relatively low-ish, you're probably paying everybody similar amounts because it's all about
Yeah.
it has to be equal. It has to be. They've made DEI stuff a big deal when it comes to this show, especially. So everybody's getting overpaid, and then how many behind the scenes people are there? How many like producers and showrunners and coffee assistants, and how much are they getting paid? Where is all of this money going? Because
Mhm.
look, we have issues with Lord of the Rings. We got issues with some of the visuals. They're dated. They're old. The horses disappear. The sword falls out of the scabbard. The wig isn't right. But you could clearly see where the money went. And you could see that they were intent on telling a good story with good characters and honoring the legacy of Tolkien. You look at Rings of Power and you just see more modern drivel.
Drivel.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if this is real, but I'll show it to you
Probably
guys.
not.
So this a website called Showbiz Galore, the Lord of the Rings Starcast and their salary. What?
Galore.
Galore. Yeah. So it has two
I'm trying
of
to
the
see.
side character men's earning the most, which is confusing.
So 30,000 per episode,
30,000 per
25,000 per
episode.
episode, 25,000 per episode.
And then you have
35.
20,000
Wow,
for Galadriel.
20,000 for
Well, that makes
Galadriel?
sense because we got to keep the glass ceiling.
Yeah, we gotta
there.
keep that glass ceiling firmly in place.
So women
Wait,
can't
where's
make it out
Halbrand?
of plastic. Don't let them break it.
Where's Halbrand? Halbrand's not on this list. He's
It's-
literally one of the
That,
main
that can't be
characters.
right. That can't
That's
be
pretty
accurate.
strange to
Yeah.
me because it's like I figured that they would be paying Galadriel the most. They've pushed
This-
her as the most important character.
Well, this website could just be wrong.
Oh yeah,
I
and
bet
it
you
could
that's
just be
the real thing.
estimates.
Yeah.
It could just be estimates.
Right. I don't know. It's probably wrong.
regardless, if
That's
you're
probably
paying
not public.
somebody $20,000 per episode, and you get 10 episodes
On the low end for sure.
right, do the math.
I'll do
20,000
the math
per
exactly.
episode.
Was it 10 episodes? I thought it was 8.
Might have been 8.
I'm pretty sure they only did 8 episodes.
Yeah.
So
So
let's
what's
see.
that total? Like 160,000?
Let's see. Yep, 160K.
Yeah.
That's not a very big payday.
And that was on the lower
Big
side
payday.
of getting paid.
Did you
for
say
it.
big payday?
Big
But-
payday.
But that, you gotta, everybody's getting paid similarly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is my guess. That it
Like
looks
it's like
unequal
Are
on
you-
that thing. I think everybody is getting paid similarly for how much screen time they're in. That adds up.
that's a
Yeah.
lot less than
Okay.
Millie Bobby Brown didn't want to come back for the last season of Stranger Things. So
Which is
I don't know what she
wild.
argued for, but it was an insane number, like
That is
a
so
million or 2 million. in
so
an
wild to
episode.
me. Absolutely insane that you wouldn't want to come back to the show for the final season that made you.
Yeah.
That made her.
That made
Exactly.
you. Nobody else is watching anything else that she's done.
No,
and
that
being like,
damsel
"Oh,
and
yeah.
that damsel show got horrible
Yeah,
reviews and
dude,
nobody
she's
watched
so
it.
good."
And
No.
even
Okay.
Enola Holmes, who
Yeah, nobody
we watch it
cares.
for Henry Cavill. We don't watch it for
Exactly.
That's it. We watch it for Henry
Cavill.
Cavill. All right, so check this out. So this is their net worth, okay? And the question, if Moyfried
Morphid.
Clark is worth $3 million, my question is, how much of that was before Rings of Power?
Mm-hmm.
Because how much have we seen her on? Have you guys seen? Have you seen anything or heard of anything with her
Mm.
before the Rings of Power?
Nothing comes to mind for me.
No.
Let's see. I'm gonna do a quick search. Let's see. Morfred Clark. I'm gonna try to figure out what her.
No, I need to.
Well, I just want to see what. I just want to see what other movies she's been in, right?
Okay.
Let's see. Share this tab. Movies and shows. Is anything here notable outside of the Rings of Power? She's been in quite a bit. Was she in The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies?
No.
No.
She's slated on Google as being in
No.
Well,
this.
Google
No.
does that. If
Yeah,
they're
it's
known
weird.
for certain things, then they'll add it to it.
Okay, well, let's go to her IMDb. See if it's added there. Let's see. I don't see The Hobbit anywhere.
So Nikita says, "What were you guys going on about female audiences and Gladiator? Like Oppenheimer wasn't geared towards women or younger generations, but those people showed up for Nolan movies. By the way, they are. We're talking broad strokes here, Nikita.
Yeah.
These are broad demographics, very, very broad demographics. Where it's more in comparison to something like Barbie that had just tons of women, right? Predominantly women were what made that movie $1 billion movie. Oppenheimer wasn't geared towards women. No, women did see Oppenheimer. Women do go see cool movies. That's not what we're saying. These are broad strokes of what is bringing somebody to a theater.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I posed the question: is Gladiator 2 available for women because of that these jacked dudes? You know what I mean? That was my question. Right?
I got a question
Yeah.
for Nikita specifically. Have you seen the first Gladiator? I feel like are an outlier to all this because you found our channel and you like a lot of movie stuff. So you are kind of an outlier. But
Outlier.
have you seen
The
the
main
first
metrics
Gladiator?
of our film content is male, right?
So the she continues attaching Gladiator 2's trailer to Deadpool and Wolverine, and if it turns out genuinely good entertainer. Yeah, no, I agree. Barbie's PG-13 based on a female IP iconic doll. True,
Correct.
but they were drawing in female audiences with the fact that it's a female toy. Broad comparisons don't make sense, so that's what I'm questioning.
She
Right.
she's kind of feeding into what we're saying, though. She just said no, she hasn't seen the first Gladiator.
No, but she was 8 when it came out. True, you didn't go
So
to the
were
theater.
we.
I didn't
I
go to
was
the
5
theater.
when it came out. I
Yes,
didn't watch it till I
so
was
were
12.
we, and we all have seen it.
No,
I was 5 years old when that movie
I
came.
think
No, I was 6. I was 6 when it came out.
where you'll go look at the demographics. You'll see a marked difference in the amount of men going to see movies like Gladiator over women. Now, when it comes to something like a movie with Henry Cavill and he's going to have his shirt off, right?
We're all showing up for that.
We're all showing up.
Everybody's showing up, right? But we're talking more of, like Joe said, what is it that is pulling you specifically to go see a movie like this?
Well, we brought up House of the Dragon attracts female viewers.
As a woman, what's pulling you to see this? We know why we're seeing it. Is Deadpool and Wolverine geared towards women or Godzilla? Several of these male-driven IPs also draw women. Yes.
Well, here's the thing. It's just a matter of what are the percentages there. You know what I mean? Yeah. In every situation, there's going to be a handful or a large handful of women that go to male predominantly viewed movies. I think the big question is, are women viewers going to move the needle for
something like Gladiator?
Okay, so we know women didn't really show up for Napoleon. A lot of men didn't show up for Napoleon, but the people who did were kind of men for Napoleon, and that was Ridley Scott's last film. If the Gladiator 2 is going to be a success, it's going to have to pull in everybody, like all the men who were fans of Gladiator 1, and it needs to pull in some women for it to be a success that didn't watch Napoleon. So that's what I'm saying is, like, Barbie worked because it got all the women, and the number one metric for what makes something successful in the market is women, because women statistically spend more money than men, right? The economy runs on women primarily.
Right.
If you look at the numbers.
I don't like generalizing women, but women don't see as many movies as men. It's statistic.
In the same way that men don't watch as many shows as women.
Exactly. We don't watch. Yeah. And so it's what is drawing a woman who is maybe not a big moviegoer to go see this movie. We know it's drawing them to Barbie, right?
We know it was made for them.
It's kind of designed
nostalgia for them,
right? It's nostalgia bait, which there's nothing wrong with nostalgia bait. Know your audience and get them in the theater. That's big. But what is, I'd say beyond, your average trailer of action adventure, is that drawing the average woman?
I agree. It is going to be a big spectacle, and so was Napoleon. But Napoleon bombed.
Yeah,
and that was Ridley Scott again, his last movie. So
I think this, even though we talked at the beginning of this live and said, I don't want it to be a sequel, I just want it to be a Gladiator movie. I think because it is a sequel, it will get more eyes than Napoleon, because Napoleon is a standalone movie. And people are like, oh, it's Gladiator. We're going to go watch the sequel to Gladiator, a good movie.
Right. And I personally think a lot more women are going to know about Gladiator because their dads watched it, because it's a dad movie, and I will die on that hill.
Well, it's first and foremost an action heartbreak story, which is going to attract some women, but more men, right? Because of the heavy-handed action fighting bits. Yeah. All right. And then on top of that, I think it niches into the dads are a big portion of that. Yeah. In the same way that I'm now a dad, I will watch Gladiator 2, and I am a fan of Gladiator 1.
Me and Wyatt aren't a dad. So
well, once you become one,
legal rights to go watch this, but
I mean, I say dad movies because a lot of these movies came out when the dads were young.
Yeah.
Or they were still young. They had
maybe your dad was young in 2001.
They were young. Maybe they hadn't had too many kids, but they these are the kinds of movies that they enjoyed. So they watched them on Sundays or whenever, and the kids kind of got involved and
Gathered round
right?
and said, "What are you watching, Dad?"
Right. I saw so many dad
Ooh, there's
movies.
blood.
Yeah. I saw so many dad movies as a kid. But yeah, I think the big question is what is drawing audiences to these movies?
And the big question is, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't. Ridley Scott, the nostalgia from the first movie.
I
That's
don't think it's Ridley Scott anymore. Everybody's looking at Ridley Scott's movies in recent years and being like, "Ugh, he
no. I
doesn't
would
have
not
it
say I am
anymore."
not having a visceral reaction to Ridley Scott's stories. Yes, some of the recent ones fall short
I
compared
am.
to his older films, but I'm not having a negative visceral response. Like you
Maybe that's just me. I don't think he's got it in him
look, they're
these
not as
days.
good as his old ones, but they're not bad either, right? Like Napoleon was not a bad film. It was kind of slow, then the trailer made it seem like it, but it's not a bad story. Um, I'm not having a bad reaction to it. Maybe like the last
Did you watch Prometheus?
Alien. Alien?
Did you watch Alien Covenant?
Yeah, I did
They're
watch
bad
Covenant.
movies.
Look, they're not as good as Alien and Aliens, but
No. This isn't a matter of they're not as good. They're bad movies. They're bad.
did he direct this or did he produce it?
I'm almost positive he directed Prometheus. I'm not sure if he directed Alien Covenant, but I could be wrong. But those are bad movies, and
But it's just the Alien franchise, and there's already a billion of those
just the
movies.
Alien franchise.
There's already a billion of those and multiple directors.
The
So what I'm
last
saying
one
is,
is gonna be looking
movie,
good.
that first movie is so good, and he directed Blade Runner.
Blade Runner's good.
And Blade Runner's so good. Where is
Blade
that?
Runner's good.
Where's that Ridley Scott? I get it. He's old, but
Wait, did he do the first Blade Runner or the second one?
the first one. Denis Villeneuve did the second one.
Oh,
look,
okay.
Ridley Scott is in his 70s, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
All these
Does that give you
iconic
huge
directors.
Does that give you huge confidence for, Gladiator 2?
I'm holding out hope with Denzel.
Okay.
Denzel.
I'm hoping he does. I hope he gets kind of mad and gives me up.
Do your best Denzel impression. You can do it. I want to see him fight.
I want to see him fight.
They're gonna get down there in that pit and they're gonna fight.
That's Denzel.
That's good.
Yeah.
Better than I can do.
Have you seen Training Day, Joseph?
Probably. I don't remember the titles
that-
of everything I watched. I've watched a lot of stuff.
That means he hasn't seen it.
Training
bruh.
Day.
Training Day with Denzel. Watch
Ethan
it.
Hawke.
Watch it. You probably have a couple days off because it's
Training
the 4th this
Day.
week. Take some time to watch Training Day.
I like
It's really
movies and
good.
filmmaking, but I don't remember any of the names of movies.
Yeah, watch Training Day. It's
Training Day.
it's well worth it. It took me a while to watch it, but eventually I watched it, and it's well worth it.
Mhm.
That's one of his better. Denzel has a lot of good movies, but that's one of his better ones, I think.
What's a
I
bad
think-
Denzel movie?
What's a bad
There's a
Denzel
question.
movie?
Mm.
The first Equalizer was good.
Mhm.
Any one after that was redoing it, and I was bored.
Yeah,
I
I
like
mean,
the
it's not Denzel. I don't know. I can't think of too many Denzel movies where the movie was bad. I mean, Denzel's always pretty good.
Yeah,
You guys remember the
Denzel's
Titan?
good in the movie.
Yes.
What was the one we watched? Wyatt in Virginia Beach. It had like the green hue on it. The Denzel movie.
Green hue.
Equalizer?
No,
In the
The
artwork?
Green hue.
it was like
The what was that called?
I just
It
remember
had the
Something
bad
gray?
Joker,
yes,
and it had Rami Malek
Who's
in
the
it.
bad Joker?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto.
Oh.
Oh, I don't remember what it was called, but yeah, he was good. He's good, man. He's always good.
Are
What's
we
your
ending this live?
Huh?
Yeah, we'll end with your favorite Denzel movie.
Mine?
Oh, favorite Denzel.
That's a good freaking question, man.
Yeah. I know I'm gonna say something I could come up with a different answer later, but right now I'm just thinking about Training Day, so I'm gonna say Training Day. But
Mhm.
I don't think that's my favorite Denzel movie. That's a good one though.
Yeah. Gosh, he's in so many movies. What is my favorite Denzel movie? Remember
This is
the
a hard
Titans is
question.
really good. He's
Oh, I
really good
just
in
watched
Remember the
that not too
Titans.
long ago. He's really good in that.
Ooh, the Book of Eli too.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. That was what I was just talking about. The Book of
Okay.
Eli.
Book of
The
Eli.
little things was a weird story that I didn't care for, but his
Mhm.
performance was really good.
Yeah.
Something that's more classic. I
Man, I
skipped a
haven't seen
lot
a
of
lot
a
of
lot of
Denzel
good.
movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of Denzel
There's
stuff
a
I haven't
lot I
seen.
have not seen for Denzel. I gotta go and we'll do Denzel. I'm kind of on a Alfred Hitchcock right now, though. At least that's what the plan is. Just watch Rear Window. That one's good.
But let's go ahead and end this
And
live. I
this
think we've
live.
sort of come to the end here. Tell us, after in the comments of the VOD, what's your favorite Denzel movie? You looking forward to Gladiator? What's drawing the different audiences for Gladiator? Um, are you into Rings of Power? And why? Thank you guys for watching Monday All Weekend. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.